Dear friends, hello everyone. Alexey Ognev, the CEO of the project, is here. Today, Boris Povar, head of the blockchain lab, and EYWA CEO is with us. And we will talk about EYWA, how it is developing from the start of the alpha testing, what progress has been made, the plans for the coming year, and how it will affect the DigiU ecosystem. Greetings, Boris. Good evening. We are really happy to catch you here in Novosibirsk and record this interview. Let's start with the alpha testing. It was launched on the 8th of September, and it's the middle of December now, and it has been quite a long time. Quite a big number of users took part in the testing. The community reaches about 140,000 people on social networks, as far as I understand. So let's try to talk about how alpha testing boosted the project, how it allowed us to find some technical aspects and issues, and in general, what did alpha testing give EYWA project? Well, alpha testing is a process which essentially services several purposes. The first goal is to get feedback from users about the product and to improve it. We have improved a lot since we started alpha testing. For example, in the beginning, we used 2 wallets to handle cross-chain transactions in the first tasks. That is, we had to set up 2 or 3 wallets, and we quickly realized that this was not user-friendly, and it was a nightmare for mobile users. Even though we had written detailed instructions, we understood that it was not realistic and it was inconvenient for common users. And in fact, we came to the conclusion that it is necessary to make changes, and the following tasks were adjusted. We changed the functionality and all the cases that we had, all the tasks. They were changed so the users could complete them with 1 wallet. In addition, we also learned a lot about the aspects of blockchain operations because the relayers network, which is used in alpha testing, is connected to all the blockchains that we add. We have more or less realistic experience of what problems there are with these nodes, because in fact, apart from the relayers themselves, if the node of this blockchain that we set up ourselves and use to connect to them respectively, and when they fail, some destinations fail. For example, the Polygon node is down, broken, or no longer functioning properly, then the Ethereum to Polygon task fails, and so on and so on. And it's a separate big process to fine-tune, monitor all the nodes. And in other words, we have set up what is known as DevOps. There are special people who monitor all sorts of information services, set them up, automate them, and so on. That was the process we had to set up, and we did it successfully. And now we're ready to roll out the mainnet version, and we will start doing it soon. It is necessary not to put too much on EYWA Relay Network node holders, so they don't need to launch their own blockchain nodes on all these blockchains: Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, and so on. Node essentially requires a pretty strong server and supervision. It also needs to be updated at the right time. Note that it's not some kind of centralization. Anyone can connect to any node. We just want to make life easier for those who will serve this relayer network, to provide them with their own nodes, providing redundancy. Well, at least 2 or 3 nodes will be kept for each blockchain, both for mainnet and testnet. This is quite a big load and quite a big so-called zoo of servers, and it's already used. And beside that, well, I'm not talking about all sorts of small visual bugs which were fixed during the alpha testing and constantly improving the interface. There is such an element, stopper, where some actions are performed automatically and the user can watch the process step by step. We were improving it and improving it and improving it. That is, adding descriptions and improving mechanisms that interact with the wallets. We have short one-week sprints, and every week we fix a number of new bugs that our testers send us. They find them themselves. We also have in-house testers who test everything that is developed. And beside this, it should be noted that testing is also a marketing tool from the very beginning, because we have added a referral program. This is a way to make the project popular because there is someone, for example, an influencer, or someone who has, for example, a few 100,000 subscribers on YouTube or on Telegram. He can write about our testing, talk about what the airdrop will be, that there will be NFT tokens, and users who are subscribed to this influencer will know about it and will use his referral link and will start to complete tasks. And the influencer will get a small percentage from their completed task. There is 532 referral program with 3 levels. It works very well, so we have built up our user base without investing a huge amount of money in marketing, as other people spread the word out about the project. Because people want to make money, people like giveaways. It's very common for cryptocurrency. Free giveaways of tokens or coins. Ethereum was once given away for free. There is a forum called Bitcoin Talk, and there were giveaways. When Ethereum was launched in 2017, you could get some Ether there for free. And each Ether today worth $4,300 or so at the moment. So it's very common, and the mechanics of information distribution are already built into the bot. In addition, there is a concept and understanding that there is a phenomenon called social mining. Several projects have actively implemented and used it. What does it mean? So, that is that when the project has a community that is motivated to perform some actions and get corresponding rewards from this project and partner projects, respectively, we have created this bot, which is basically social mining. This bot is a tool for interaction with users, because we can segment the audience, we can carry out polls, find out who our users are, send them messages based on certain criteria. We are currently creating a white label bot based on our bot. In other words, this is the same functionality that can be provided to other partner projects, but they will put their own logo on it, and it looks like another bot, but with the same functionality. In this case, the user database is merged and our database is extended. Apart from that, there are other mechanics. We are now actively negotiating, mainly with NFT and GameFi projects, to build a pool of projects that will allow us to create an NFT collection for EYWA for distribution, where there will be real NFTs that are already used in existing projects. For them, affiliate mechanics could be just the jobs posted in the EYWA bot as extras, jobs that could additionally be performed for extra rewards. The idea is that it should be done all the time. We plan to continue. There is a successful project, for example, DAO Maker, that started with similar idea and then turned into Launchpad, which just conducts pre-sales for projects at early stages and allows people to buy $100 worth of token and make X5s there, for example. But they've started with projects that come to them, then they give them, let's say, $10,000 worth of tokens for the whole community and give them a task. Users had to do a number of actions. They have a portal where they could perform them. In essence, this role is performed by our Telegram bot. There's our tools, our argument for partnering with new projects. We are now conducting a lot of negotiations on business development, in addition to fundraising, but business development is about establishing partnerships with other projects. Projects that have an audience of, for example, 150,000 users are willingly communicating with us as equals and are ready for partnerships and collaborations. That is, for example, they have already make their NFT collections for us in exchange for co-marketing with them. Their audience will learn about us, and our audience will learn about them. And projects that, for example, have a community 3 or 4 times smaller, they are willing to cooperate with us on our terms. I will not mention the names, not to spoil, but we have already had a lot of interesting meetings with NFT and GameFi projects. And the outlines of these partnerships have already kind of formed. I just won't give any spoilers yet. Look, let's try to keep it simple. Let's just say, as CEO of EYWA project, you have been in alpha testing for 4 months or so since the launch. Would you see it as successful or not? I think it's going well, going really great. We have added a number of blockchains, and in general, the functionality or the maximum program that I have in mind, I think we're getting on with it. And by the way, I would like to take this opportunity to announce that there is already a decision within the team that we will extend the testing for at least January, because we want people to test the Solana well. And Solana is going quite hard, but it's close to completion. And we just thought that if we make the Solana tasks available at the end of December, there will be like New Year's holidays, and some people will have Christmas holidays, and people won't have much time to test it. Therefore, we will definitely extend the testing for January. The testing of interface will most likely move to the testing of relayers we're developing, namely our blockchain, which is the EYWA Relayer Network version 1. We will let people deploy the nodes. This is an offer for a different audience, but the plan is roughly the same. The testing was successful, and soon we will add gasless functionality. That is when, in the usual tasks, now users from our faucet get small amounts of Ether, BNB, and so on to make a transaction. We roll out the functionality when they don't have to pay for gas. We told about it earlier. When they make a transaction, they just have tokens they send, and they won't have to pay with Ether or BNB or AVAX or so on. We have already implemented this functionality, and soon it will be available for everyone, and there will be a task to test it. And Huobi will be launched accordingly. We have Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, Huobi, and now the last one will be Solana as part of alpha testing. And gasless transactions accordingly on these networks, or at least on Ether. Wow, that's a very inspiring summary of what the alpha testing is and how it goes. You've already touched on the topic of partnerships with various projects, and in fact, I know that EYWA has received several grants, so let's talk about that. There are some grants that we have already received, and there are some applications that are in progress. Let's talk about what these grants are and who has given them to us, and what does it mean for EYWA in general. Well, our business development, or the partnership direction, includes different elements. That is, work with partner projects, for example, in NFT segment or GameFi, and so on, and their work with blockchain ecosystems. We have put together a list of the most interesting blockchains. A lot of partners are asking in which blockchain the EYWA token will be minted, or which blockchain will be used for farming, and so on. I will talk about this a little later. The point is that there are actually a lot of suitable blockchains by technical criteria. But in order to finally decide, it is better to choose a blockchain that will support and promote us. Because every blockchain ecosystem is first and foremost a community in the long run. The more successful a blockchain is, the more people know about it. And accordingly, there are blockchains that are ready to announce partnerships with us and ready to participate in our hackathons, to be sponsors, judges, and so on. and also to provide grants. Here, we identified certain blockchains that had open programs for grants and hackathons and sent them letters. They have their own forms to fill out, and accordingly, some of them responded to us. And at the moment, we have confirmed grants from Algorand and Harmony One, and we're currently discussing the grant details with CoinX, a small blockchain. And the question was about what a grant is, right? Yes, what is it? Is it a sum of money or what is it? Yes, let me explain. Behind every blockchain ecosystem, there is an organization called a foundation. And it's usually a non-profit decentralized organization which distributes the fund received from some investors and, for example, foundations for the development of this blockchain. And it uses the funding for the strategic development of the ecosystem. Accordingly, usually there are some big venture capital funds out there. They give the blockchain ecosystem money for development, for seed investment, and some of this money goes into the ecosystem development and grants. So, what is a grant? A grant is essentially an obligation on our part to develop some kind of functionality just inside this blockchain ecosystem. And what does that mean for us? So, let's say we have already planned that we are interested in a blockchain, that we will integrate it. And let's say we'll do it, and we'll get paid for it. That's the point. So, there is a roadmap, a guarantee, and there are certain reference points that first we do this, then we do that, then we do that. So Algorand will give us $95,000. It's broken down into parts, so when we develop certain functionality, provide them with documentation, the contract, we show them that everything works. There are certain procedures on how we need to present the work, they check it, then they send the money, then the next stage, and so on. Basically, it means that we integrate the blockchain. In terms of complexity, Algorand integration is about the same as Solana. That is, it's a non-EVM compatible network, it's not Ethereum, and everything is different there, and accordingly, it's most likely it's a big project, which may take 2-3 months, maybe more, and having completed it, we will actually get this grant. Further, if we talk about Harmony One, it's a blockchain that, well, in fact, is an improved version of Ether, but it already has sharding and a lot of other interesting features. It's fast, the blocks are created every 2 seconds, and the transactions are very cheap. So they allocated us a grant of $50,000, and its integration is much easier. We basically need to just make another bridge. And the interesting thing is that we have 2 more important components when going to mainnet. We need to choose the network where the main EYWA token will be launched, so-called governance token. That is a DAO contract, which will be the management contract, and the contracts that will store the EYWA Relay network tokens. This network is important to choose. And in addition, there is a second entity, a hub chain, as we call it. It's a blockchain that will host a liquidity hub with synthetic assets. This is the product that we will show in the mainnet. That is aggregated. Well, in fact, we will in one blockchain, which is fast and convenient, aggregate assets from different blockchains, and with its help exchange according to the star topology. That is, it goes from here to there, and it will be used as a kind of a switchboard. And accordingly, now it's important for us to choose the most profitable option among those proposed. Now we are essentially making a kind of a funnel. Some blockchains come forward by themselves, and we already see if, well, we had 10 and now there are 3, and we continue communicating with the most interesting ones. Some can be put in a queue because we need to control the load of tasks put on development. We can't take too many commitments at once. We have to fulfill our obligations. That's about it. That is to say, we are still negotiating with the near blockchain. We would like the negotiations to be successful, but it depends on how it turns out. At least now there are already a few directions. There's also CoinX. We don't really consider CoinX for implementing any major functionality. We just plan to integrate it so that we can send data in this direction and so on. CoinX is actually one of the exchanges, well, one of the centralized exchanges, somewhere around tier 2 or 3, I mean below Binance, and they just make their own pocket blockchain similar to Binance. CoinX Smart Chain, something like that. It's just easy for us, in fact, to integrate there, and it will be good for both of us. Actually, that's how this business development direction works, and the grant system pays off. In any case, getting grants is some additional confirmation. Yes, it's important that I haven't said that yet, but we will actually use it, of course, because when you communicate with venture capital funds, and in parallel, we also communicate with venture capital funds. When you tell them that, well, we have grants from these, and these, they often don't like to dig in, get into the technical details. But when they hear that someone reputable there, and they're, for example, Algorand, well, that's a unicorn, yes, that's a blockchain itself, which has a capitalization of many billions of dollars. Harmony One is also a unicorn. In fact, these are not some unknown blockchains. They raise hundreds of millions of dollars rounds for themselves, if not billions of dollars. Accordingly, when these guys give you a grant, it can essentially be seen as a kind of passive investment in the project, because it's like the first step. We give you a little, you do something, and then, respectively, every blockchain foundation has partner funds that invest in the entire ecosystem. They look and they see a new project appearing, and then they can contact and offer investment, for example, Series B round, from another valuation. So it's the same with hackathons. You can develop something there and no one would know about it. Or you can come and show it to the community and draw attention to yourself for free, without any marketing costs. Show your development. And this is how it works in the world of IT startups. So this is like a kind of a lift that you can use, and of course we plan to use it in talks with funds, and we already use it. We actually just did it today. That's great. All this information is really inspiring. In fact, I suggest that everyone should study it separately while listening to the interview. And as I always say, any unfamiliar words you hear and you understand that it's something interesting, then learn them, look them up, and improve your skills and your abilities. Boris, the next important thing for our interview is probably the plans for the next year. You touched on this at the conference. I think that now you should also talk about the mainnet, how you see the next year in the same effective, comprehensive way. Maybe in quarters or something. Please do share. Well, we can say that there is a maximum program and there is a minimum program, and there is, so to say, as it turns out, program. And there are a lot of factors. Everything changes very quickly. And if we understand that the market has changed dramatically, we can change our strategy. But as I see it from today's point of view, in any case, in the first quarter, we start testing EYWA relay network. Let people set up nodes in the testnet first. We run this testnet for some time, watch how it goes, fix all the bugs, improve it. Then, most likely in December and in January and maybe more, we will hold a new pre-sale for those who want to buy the nodes. At an early stage with lockups, it will be cheaper than it will cost later on the market. That means they have enough tokens to launch the nodes when we launch in the mainnet, to be one of the first ones there. Then, accordingly, we plan to release the functionality that we have now in the mainnet, which is a cross cross-chain protocol, Uniswap v2, where two assets from different blockchains are in a pool and can be exchanged against each other. And we will pass the security audits in the functionality will be available. We plan to offer this functionality to other projects because in fact these pools should have good farming in order to have a lot of liquidity. These very GameFi and NFT projects that I mentioned earlier in fact are farming projects that mint some kind of token usually for providing liquidity to some exchanges, which they choose, and we actually will offer them ours. They will give our DEX users rewards with their tokens. And the farming of our tokens will implement a different functionality, which again we plan to launch and demonstrate in the first to second quarter. It is quite, I wouldn't be afraid to say, a revolutionary bridge solution for liquidity. Well, I briefly mentioned it before, that we use a hub chain. Well, it's quite difficult to understand, but I'll try to explain. The problem with all bridges right now is that a synthetic asset is created when an asset is moved from one blockchain to another. Then it has to be paired with the original asset, one-to-one, so that it can be swapped because the user wants the original asset. And when we take that we have dozens of such assets and dozens of blockchains, we get a huge number of combinations. And we create many of these pools, in which we need to put liquidity everywhere, a real liquidity. Yes, there are a lot of different kinds of stablecoins, a lot of different blockchains, and consequently, in the end, each of these pools has just a little bit of liquidity. And now the existing solutions, they work like this. What do we propose? We propose to aggregate this liquidity into one pool. Well, without going into technical details, different types of stablecoins come from different blockchains and they are combined on a principle that some value comes from this blockchain, from that blockchain, and from that blockchain. Combined, this value from each blockchain is a stablecoin itself, which is secured by all the other stablecoins that were put in the original blockchain. So we collect them from each blockchain and then place in one pool. So you get, as I say, a star topology. What come from here, come from here, come from there, and it's gathered in one place. And that way, when I have a synthetic asset, I don't have to pair it with the original asset. The assets are just traded to each other, essentially exchanged. Users put their original assets in each blockchain, where someone put, for example, USDT in Ether, someone put USDC in Solana. Then someone else comes in and wants to exchange USDT from Ether for USDC from Solana. So he doesn't need any other USDTs or USDCs here in the middle. We just connect them directly using that hub chain and some more technical know-how to make this user experience simple and convenient. This is very interesting. So in the end, this aggregated value of, for example, stablecoins, it can be seen as a single asset. Well, if that's the case, for those who understand, it's an LP token, an aggregated liquidity pool token, which is essentially a dollar too, if we are talking about stablecoins. And this asset is a meta asset, meta stablecoin that can be moved, first of all, for free. Also, it will move between all the blockchains and it can be converted into any stablecoin in any of the represented blockchains. That's an interesting thing. This pilot launch of this functionality we plan to implement in the first to second quarter and demonstrate it to the whole crypto community. Besides, this method allows to earn very effectively for those who allocate liquidity to this farming. And it gives constant profit. That is, roughly speaking, this method that we offer is aimed at large liquidity providers who want to bring $1 million in stablecoin, put it in and get their stable 20% annual return, for example. In the beginning, it will probably be more. And there's a whole big story there with economics and various mechanics and how to balance it out. The idea is that we will have this kind of functionality and we will offer it to project partners. There is also another direction. Well, I mean, what will happen? There will be airdrop, which we promised of our tokens. And we are working on a collection of NFT tokens for EYWA, which will be, well, most likely, there will be NFTs that we will create ourselves, some of which will simply be collectibles, like stamps, while most of the tokens will be issued by other projects that actually operate and have some value. And besides that, of course, these projects will integrate some EYWA functionality. Either it will be some kind of cross-chain calls or it will be liquidity pools like Uniswap, which we are alpha testing right now. For those stable pools that I told you about above or something else. Basically, we have a roadmap. A little later, we plan to create NFT bridges, that is, the creation of bridges for NFT tokens to move them between blockchains. And since we communicate a lot with GameFi and NFT projects, they are accordingly asking us about it, and maybe we will prioritize these NFT bridges. Naturally, there will be a public sale and we will launch farming. What else can I add? Of course, we'll continue business development activity, expand the community through the various partner integrations. If we talk about the long term, the plans are to have a decentralized network of oracles, which can additionally be monetized and follow the Chainlink model, for example. In the beginning, our network of oracles will provide a service. It is essentially the transfer of cross-chain calls, which will be paid for with EYWA token for each call. Then we can extend the functionality of that node so that we can charge for the delivery of, for example, price feeds data, which Chainlink does. Or we could also supply random number generation. NFT and all game projects built on blockchains, they are built on the fact that they need a source of randomness, which the blockchain does not have. And so, these external oracles like Chainlink supply them with this information for a fee per call. At Chainlink, they pay $40 per call, and for a usual call is about $2 or $3. Accordingly, our task is to build this network of oracles, this blockchain of ours, to start processing the maximum number of requests. Because we will make money from each call, this is why we will hold a hackathon. It's also important to say that the hackathon will probably be in the first quarter. We have already we have communicated with many blockchain ecosystems about this. Polygon, we communicated with Huobi, OKEx. Accordingly, I think that we will also, after we receive the grant, will talk about it with Algorand. We will invite them as partners to the hackathon jury. Maybe some of them will become sponsors, maybe they will make their own track records. That is, they will set their task for the hackathon participants. We'll organize a big cross-chain themed hackathon around EYWA ecosystem, and accordingly some projects will probably be created that will appear at this hackathon. Most likely the same funds will start investing in them and they will actively develop based on our ecosystem. And the success of any of these projects will mean that the number of calls and requests to the blockchain of ours will also increase, and thus will increase our profit. A lot of people talking about cross-chain bridges mean liquidity transfer. And that's how much turnover there is, how many billions have been transferred there. What's your commission? Well, there is 0.1%, so that's how much money you earn. For us, this is only one of the components of profit, and not necessarily the biggest. I personally think that this cross-chain data transfer market is not covered by anyone And that's why there is no working solutions on the market right now. And we can be one of the first ones there, along with Chainlink, which after our communication, by the way, decided to develop in this direction. In fact, we discussed a grant with Chainlink a while ago. We had about 5 or 7 calls with their team, and then after a few months, they've added a Chainlink cross-chain interoperability protocol section. Well, it's just that we have an advantage over the protocol because our protocol will be truly decentralized and Chainlink has proof of authority, which will always be there. Okay, I see. I suggest we end here with the plans. All in all, these are a lot of plans, and it's very, very intense interview. Boris, thank you for that. I actually have nothing more to add here. I invite everybody to share this interview and take part in the EYWA alpha testing and buy DigiU ecosystem shares and to broaden their literacy in these modern technologies and to profit from it. Boris, thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone. See you in crypto world.